Okay, in this video, I want to cover topic 3.1, evolution, types, and functions of money. Okay. Perhaps the first thing that we should explain is that money has not always existed. Money was a creation, an invention. And in very primitive economic system, there was nothing that can be defined as money. In very primitive economies, economic exchanges were conducted according to barter. Barter is simply an economic system in which goods or services are traded for other goods or services. So there is no money. For example, I don't know, back then I had some fruit and I meet someone who has some meat and we trade. I give some fruits and in return I have some meat. Then I have some meat and some fruits. I have someone that has, say, some fish. I give some meat, I receive a fish. Well, that's basically how it works. But there is a big problem with this economic system. And this problem is known as the double coincidence of wants, which means that basically I will be able to trade something that I have only if I find someone who wants what I have and has what I want. And as you can imagine, well, that's there is nothing that guarantees that this is going to be the case. Just as like small issue with the computer. Should be working, hopefully. So that's the big problem, double coincidence of wants. That just makes it so hard for transactions to take place. And it's a problem because if I can't trade with other people, then I can't really specialize, right? Because the only reason for which people specialize is because they anticipate that they will be able to purchase whatever they do not have. Sorry, guys, I just need to check something. There seems to be a small issue with the recording. Right, hopefully it's going to work now. My point is that if we don't have money, we are confronted to this problem of the double coincidence of wants. Therefore, we can't trade. And since we cannot really trade, it's going to be very difficult for us to specialize. And basically, this is something that really prevents economic growth for an economy. Another problem is that since there is no money, we may have to transport whatever we have that is valuable, so it's just complicated. We may have things that we can't really store, which is an additional problem. Well, basically, you understand that a barter economy is one that is very inefficient. And so later, in a more advanced economy, money was introduced. So to give a simple definition of money, it's basically anything that can be used to buy a wide range of goods and services. So it's essentially anything that can be used as a means of payments, any asset that is going to be widely accepted by people to act as a means of payment. In fact, money has three key functions. The one that I just mentioned is called a medium of exchange. Money is something that can be used as a means of payment. Sometimes we also call that a means of payment. And that's honestly the primary function of money. Okay. But in addition, when we talk about the function of money, money must be a store of value. We sometimes also call that a store of wealth. It's the same thing. which means that basically any asset that is regarded as money must keep its value, its purchasing power over time. That's why you can't really regard like anything that is perishable, like a fruit, as a good form of money, because it is not a good store of value, right? Over time, its value will diminish. So it's important that anything that is regarded as money can play this function, which means that people can keep money, any asset regarded as money, to transfer their purchasing power from now to the future. Okay, if I have some wealth today, but I don't want to use it today, I don't want to consume today, I want to keep it for later, so I want to save it, then money being a store of value means that you can use money to maintain your purchasing power over time. So you can just hold your wealth in the form of money. And if money is a store of value, then the purchasing power of your wealth is going to be maintained over time. And that's why we say that inflation is something that reduces or harms this function of money, because when there is inflation, money loses its purchasing power over time, right? And yeah, so inflation damages this particular function of money. Same thing. In fact, if you have very high rates of inflation, it can even damage the medium of exchange function, because if inflation rates are super high, if you have cases of hyperinflation, well, then in those extreme cases, money will not even be accepted by sellers, because it is known for losing its purchasing power very quickly. For example, in Venezuela, when there was hyperinflation, some sellers no longer accepted money, at least not the domestic currency, but instead they started to accept gallons of oil, like little, I'm missing the word in English, like buckets full of oil, and this is what was accepted as a medium of exchange. Or in some cases, they accepted foreign currencies, in particular US dollar, right? So yeah, if inflation is very, very high, money is, like the domestic currency, is not even a medium of exchange anymore. The third function of money is unit of account, or a measure of value. What it means is that once we have money, then the value of all goods and services can be expressed in a common unit, basically. You can say, oh, this table is $200, this computer is $2,000, this marker is $2, and that just makes it considerably easier to compare the value of different things, because the value of all items is expressed in a single unit. Imagine if we did not have money, then we would need a price for each item in terms of any other item. For example, this whiteboard is worth 10 markers, and it is worth 5 fish, and it is worth 1/3 of a guitar. And it is, you understand, like if we don't have like a common unit, if you don't have like money in which we can express the value of everything, then we are going to have for each item a price expressed in terms of all of the other goods and services in the economy. And that becomes such a mess, and that makes it just impossible to make good economic decisions, because the information becomes overwhelming. By having money, by having a common unit in which we can express the value of all goods and services, in which we can measure the value of all goods and services, that considerably simplify economic decision making. So these are the three primary functions of money. Sometimes we add a fourth one. It's okay if you focus on the three first that I just mentioned. Sometimes we add a fourth function of money, which is a standard. I don't know if you have it in your notes, a standard for deferred payment. So deferred payment is basically a debt. It's when you buy something, but you don't pay now, you pay later. So you deferred payment, so you have a debt. A standard for deferred payment simply means that you can use money to pay a debt, to pay back a debt. That's it. But in fact, as long as money is a medium of exchange, and as long as it is a good store of value, then the consequence is that it's going to be accepted as a standard for deferred payment. But basically what it means is that you can use money to pay back a debt. That's it. So these are the four functions of money, and of course the one that is definitely the most important is medium of exchange. Now, for something to be regarded as a good candidate to be money, there are certain characteristics, and students are very often confused with and are very often mix the characteristics of money and the functions of money. The functions of money are things you can do with money. You can buy stuff, medium exchange, preserve your purchasing power, store value, compare the value of things, the unit of account. So these are the things you can do with money. The characteristics of money are things that money should be, like what money should be like if we want it to be quite effective. And well, you don't have to remember them all, and I probably don't remember them all, but the main ones should be, okay, so money has to be portable. Because of course, when we go, when we trade, we need to be able to take money with us. So of course, it needs to be portable. It has to be durable. Meaning that, yes, of course, we need to have something that is not going to disappear overnight. It has to be scarce, limited in supply, okay? Otherwise, if it was infinite, if we used, like say, the leaves on trees as a form of money, well, clearly, because the supply would be so large, well, maybe not in the desert, but let's say right here, if money was abundant, if we simply had to to pick up money on the ground, clearly this would not be a good candidate to be money because it is too abundant and it would have no value. It has to be hard to counterfeit. Counterfeit means to make fake money, okay, to copy, for example. So that's why the banknotes, they have so many security features that ensures that they are hard to counterfeit. Same thing with coins, even in the past. So portable, durable, scarce, hard to counterfeit. I am probably forgetting them, like one or two. In a second. Acceptable, which means that everybody must accept it, which in fact has to do with the medium of exchange. You need to have something that everybody can accept. I think I'm missing one. Let me have a look at my notes.